happy Friday, and thanks for tuning into Radio Free Rhinecliff.org and this show in particular. Correct me if I'm Norm. I'm your host, Norm, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight with Mr. Jeff Boyle. Yay!
Normie.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for coming in.
I love
Mr.
this.
Normie to you.
Doctor.
Yeah. Doctor. I wanted to be a doctor. I went to college.
Is that
Yeah, I thought I wanted to be a psychiatrist.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Where was that?
When?
Where?
Like in the last century. One went to SMU in Dallas, Texas, USA.
Ah, okay.
And you did you seek higher education after graduating from
I did seek it, yeah.
Yeah. Did you?
I did,
Did you find it?
I did 2 years of community college and then transferred to another university.
And
I graduated from college. Now it's a university, Marist.
Oh, Marist.
Yeah, I think they got official university status like last week or something like that.
And was it called Marist College?
It was called Marist College.
And
yeah.
where was the community college?
It was Dutchess.
DCC.
Yeah,
It's
DCC.
a wonderful place.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been around DCC a bunch, and I'm always impressed.
It was a great experience. You know, it was approachable
Yeah.
for me, and
was it less academically rigorous? Is that what you mean, sort of by approachable?
no, more financial.
Oh.
More financial. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
And then did something change that you went to Marist College after that?
It was a plan to transfer somewhere else, but they just like really hooked it up. There was like a really great deal between the two colleges. And I was working the whole time I was in college. So I was doing like 40 or 50 hours a week while
Oh my God.
taking classes.
And you finished in 4 years.
Yeah.
And what was your ultimate degree in?
It was in American Studies and with like a focus on studio art. So it was a lot of art history and old FDR videos of him swimming in a pool. You did a lot of studying at the the FDR museum.
Which is the
Or library.
Amazing place.
Yeah.
I think it's they call it the Librarian Museum.
Yeah.
So it's a spectacular place to visit.
Yeah.
Anybody listening who hasn't gone there, go down and see that in Hyde Park.
It's got some weird stuff in there too, man. It's like there's like locks of his baby hair.
Oh, really?
And we also like got to go down into the basement and see his book collection. He was the type of guy that would just he'd read the book and then write a little synopsis in the front. So like we saw his copy of Mein Kampf, and he like saw what he wrote in there, and it's wild.
Oh, I didn't see that. That sounds
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
His desk is in there.
Yeah.
I think that's in the basement too.
Yeah.
And like a big lucite room, sort of the desk and all the stuff that was on the desk. Yeah, it's a really cool place, and they have like varying exhibitions and stuff. So you said American Studies? Is that what
Yeah. So it's mostly American history,
and
a lot of like, which is absolutely great because it puts into context a lot of the things that are happening now, and if they're actually a big deal or not, or if it's just kind of the flow, kind of opening up the lens of the time period of America from foundation to now.
And the relevance of Mein Kampf then versus now, for example.
Exactly.
And so what are some of the parallels that you see? I was doodling all through history class.
I mean, the thing is that I do think that things are a little bit sensationalized right now.
Yeah, snowflakes. Is that where you're going with this?
No, not at all. No, it's on both sides. I mean, everyone just thinks that today is like the most important thing that's ever happened. And looking back, like there's been a lot of crazy shit that's happened in this country. So to kind of like, just put it in relation with other time periods is important, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a good reason to study history.
Yeah.
Is the context, and as they say, to hopefully not repeat it.
Right.
Though people are freaking out now, like, oh my God, we're repeating history, we're turning the clock back.
There's definitely some certain things that are reminiscent of past times. Yeah. Yeah.
Would you care to share some of those?
No, I don't want to get into that.
All right. Well, here, I'll just cheers.
Hey, cheers.
This is a tradition
Cheers,
here on the show. My guest brought in a cocktail for us to enjoy. What is this thing we're drinking?
We're drinking a Mezcal Negroni. One of my favorite cocktails. I used to be just a Negroni fan, and then I think the Mezcal just adds a little bit to it.
It's really super delicious.
Yeah. absolutely.
Thanks for bringing it in.
Yeah, man.
So you said you studied American studies with an emphasis on studio art.
Yeah.
Was that related to the American? Or was it like a minor?
It was a minor, but it ended up like taking most of my efforts and time. I cared more about that than Lyndon B. Johnson.
Right. Huh. And what kinds of art were you making back then?
Mostly painting. You know, they definitely like send you in different classes, different directions, printmaking, sculpting. But I really like drawing and painting as a medium. Yeah.
And what kinds of things were you painting then?
It really was all over the place. Everything had a little bit of like absurdism to it. Like I treat everything with like a little grain of like comedy.
Right.
So taking things too seriously always like has bothered me. And when people get a little too serious about things, it's easy for me to kind of judge that because I always look at everything with just one eye on what's funny about this. You know?
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a healthy thing.
And I think that lends itself more towards like the artistic things than history or
or medicine.
Right, whatever.
Yeah, or surgery.
Yeah.
Exactly. What's funny about this?
Exactly.
Look at the size of that.
Yeah.
So, and did you always paint? Did you paint in high school?
Yes. Always doing something. Always doodling, always drawing, always painting. Yes.
That's great. And do you still?
Yeah, I actually just did a show in December. It was a collaborative show with one of my favorite local artists, Todd German.
Yeah.
So we did 5 pretty big pieces, 3 foot by 3 foot, 3 foot by 4 foot pieces. And we hung them down at the Rhine Cellar in Rhinebeck, yeah.
You didn't know what size they were. I saw them on Todd's social media.
Yeah.
Because unlike some people, he actually has like Instagram and Facebook.
You're going to bust my balls about that, huh?
Well, I'm not going to bust your balls, but I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
Because it is unusual. You're like 40-something.
41.
And most 41-year-olds, I would say, have Instagram. Mm-hmm. Probably most of them have Facebook. Mm-hmm. And probably a whole bunch of them are on TikTok. I mean, they're all probably on multiple social media platforms.
Sure.
And way back when MySpace hit, you were a kid. You're probably in high school or something at that point.
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, like I was in for the advent of like Facebook and MySpace. Facebook was still kind of directed towards certain colleges, I think. You had to have like a college email address to get in, and it was only certain universities that you could. It was a little exclusive. And I just never had an interest in it, buddy.
So you never had any accounts, or you had one and you deleted it after a couple of weeks?
No, I worked in a restaurant as a manager, and there was a, you have to have like an actual account to run a business's account. So I created some burner account called the Mole Man, and deleted it. I wanted nothing to do with it.
The Mole Man.
The Mole Man. He's like a villain in Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
And he's very like self-loathsome. He's awesome. Yeah.
And did you relate to the Mole Man somehow? Is that what he says?
Not really.
Yeah.
In that context, yeah. Like in like the social media space or whatever it is. Like.
So you created a burner account. I've never even heard of a burner account before, but it makes sense.
I don't know if that's what it's called or not, but yeah, sure.
It's descriptive enough.
Yeah.
So that you could run the social media account of this restaurant you were managing.
Right.
And was this during college?
This was after. I was during college. I was working as a wedding planner.
Oh wow!
I have planned over 500 weddings. I was in hospitality since I was 15 years old, and so like I, worked 20 years in restaurants.
Wow!
Started kind of around here. My mom worked in a convent with nuns.
Like down here in Rhinecliff?
It was called Linwood.
Yeah.
It's just yeah, absolutely. And so she worked there as like a administrative assistant and a retreat director. So every sick day, I'd go there, watch Price is Right with the nuns. I kind of like, I would whoop their ass in Prices Right, though. Because like,
whoop their ass.
Because they don't buy anything.
You can't talk that way about nuns.
Well, there was just, they were the best.
They don't buy anything.
They don't buy anything. Everything was just bought for them. So like, they have no idea how much Ajax costs, you know? But it was great. And then I started working there. I washed dishes and we set up all the buffets for them every meal and stuff.
Wait, back to watching Prices Right with the nuns.
It's Bob Barker days.
Yeah, Bob Barker. Who does it now?
Drew Carey. I think still.
Yeah. Oh, now you're back there. So we don't know you watch a lot of daytime TV.
I don't watch much.
Like Drew Carey, the Showdown Showcase.
I think he's been there
Featured
for a while.
Jeff Boyle.
Yeah.
So where were the nuns sitting? There was like a break room or like a community room?
Yeah,
or?
they'd come in round tables, 60-inch rounds. You get 8 nuns around a table. They were just the sweetest old ladies. Like it was such like a nurturing, kind place to be.
And were they all old? They were. I mean, how old are you at this point?
There were no like hot 14. Young nuns. No, they were all like old ladies.
How'd you know that's where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Because now, of course, there's hotyoungnun.com.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. That's the only social media I have, actually.
You get an account there, and it's still the Mole Man.
Yeah, Mole Man account.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I worked there, and then I worked at a place called the Belvedere Mansion during college, and the wedding coordinator like quit one day. I walked in, and there was a note that says, "I can't do this anymore. She's out." So they asked me if I would step up and like help out. So I was doing like 200-person weddings as a 20-year-old. 19-year-old.
And had you been assisting the woman who?
Yeah, I was like around it, but
quit in this really wonderful way.
They definitely like threw me in, like
grab a paper. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah,
don't call me.
Go fluff that bride's train, or or whatever needed to happen.
Right. So that's
not a dirty thing. Don't worry.
Oh, it's not.
Don't worry.
I thought fluffer was a
thing, but that's different.
I guess I'm wrong. So you had been around it. You'd seen how it happened. And this woman left a note and a little scrap of paper saying, you can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, guess what? You're up.
Yep. So I did that all through college.
But what about that first day when they said you're up? It seems kind of, how'd you feel about that?
I don't know if I overthought it. It was just like it had to get done.
Well, you're here now, and this is where we overthink everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Yeah. No, I didn't really like overthink it. Just jumped in.
Right.
Did the thing, salad, appetizer, entree. It's not that hard,
Right. Well, when you're doing it for a venue.
Yeah.
But, lots of wedding planners are doing the whole thing. They're finding the venue, the banquet hall.
I ended up doing that later.
Okay.
So I worked actually when the Rhinecliff reopened with their renovation and everything. I worked as the wedding planner there too.
Wow.
Yeah, when they opened up, probably 2 years, something like that, 1.5 years.
Huh.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of nice. Where did you meet many bridezillas?
It was more mothers of the bride that were the issue.
Oh, yeah.
Brides, yeah, there were a couple. Definitely had some, they're in the moment and they think that this day is like just the biggest thing in the world.
Right.
Which you can't blame them for, that's like, it might have been their childhood dream to like have a beautiful wedding, near the river in a mansion.
Sure.
So you don't want to judge it. But
no, I mean, I had dreams like that, to have a beautiful wedding, near the river or wherever.
Yes. I have to say that like doing that job made me just look like a very calm person, because you could see the anxiety level that they would have, that you could see how like strung up they were about stupid shit. And you'd say, honey, everything's fine, baby. Everything's good. We're going to be fine. Kind of like you talk them down.
Right.
And just going through that, like, every weekend.
Right.
1 or 2 weddings a weekend.
I have a hard time imagining you ever being sort of high strung.
No. I don't think I ever was, no.
Right.
Yeah.
And you got a sibling, was your brother high strung?
No. Older brother, 3.5 years older.
Uh-huh.
Awesome guy.
Oh, how sweet.
Great big brother. just like very in tune, very sensitive. Takes after both my parents, the most sensitive people, really can like read human beings, see what they need. They're nurturing. They were lovely. My mom passed. My dad's still around. He lives in Statsburg.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like it must have been kind of nice growing up with them.
Picture perfect, man. Honestly.
Wow.
Great upbringing.
And they teaching you emotional maturity, and
Sure, absolutely.
which doesn't happen a lot. I mean, that's why my shrink has 3 swimming pools.
Right. My mom was a teacher in her early days and focused mostly on special needs people, and just always just pushed and preached taking care of people, assuming that someone's got something going on when you meet them and catering to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I was born in Highland.
Uh-huh.
And lived there for a few years and then moved to Rhinebeck. So I had like 2 stints of Rhinebeck. I had like growing up, moved away, and then came back, years later.
And so the growing up stint, was that from, I mean, you were born in Highland, you came here at some point.
Yeah.
Did you do school like K through graduation here?
I did.
Amazing. And what year did you graduate?
2001.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
A funny time to graduate. I mean, I guess you graduated May probably.
Well,
the world changed in September.
Yeah. I was on Dutchess Community College campus and walked into school
on 9/11.
On 9/11, and a buddy of mine, this guy named Sid Hill, sweet guy, he said, I remember him saying, the world will never be the same after this.
Right.
And it's on TV. It was surreal. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you think, I mean, you've got the historical perspective, do you think that the world changed and will never go back?
I don't know if it's, same thing, historical context, but definitely during that time period, when you're, 18, 19 years old, seeing kind of the response to that definitely made me a little like anti-establishment, like that kind of, that W. Bush era. It was a little like, I was, the saying.
What's that?
Show me a young person that's not liberal, and I'll show you someone without a heart. Show me an old person that's not conservative, and I'll show you someone without a brain.
Right.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
I know.
Get out.
Show me a middle-aged libertarian. I'll show you someone with a bunch of baggage.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So you said you worked in hospitality from the time you were like 14 or something. What was your first gig?
So it was washing the nuns' dishes. And I was like preparing food for them. And
they're like, this guy's hanging out in the break room all the time. Like, we got to get him a job.
Yeah. He's watching Price is Right. Get him work. Yeah.
Right. He's kicking our asses at Price is Right.
Yeah.
Get him out of here and make him wash dishes.
They had no chance.
No chance.
They had no chance.
Because you spent a lot of time in the supermarket.
They might have won Plinko just because gravity does all the work.
Plinko. That's one of the games on Price. Which one is that?
That's where you drop the little coin and it bounces around and falls into a slot.
Oh God, I'm not sure I know that one. I've seen Price is Right.
Yeah,
but I don't recall Plinko. Love that. And so that was your first gig.
Yeah.
And when was your last gig in hospitality? I'm guessing it was as a wedding planner somewhere.
So after wedding planning, I moved down to the city, and I lived in Crown Heights for 8 years, and I worked for the company Momofuku. Started at the Sambar, which was their second restaurant, and just did like front of the house. Like it was one of the coolest jobs. And
Sambar, was that an Indian restaurant or Japanese?
No, it's like Korean inspired.
Okay.
But they definitely brought in things from all over the place. It's David Chang is the restaurateur. So he had his original place, Noodle Bar, and then opened up Sambar. And I got in there, and it was like the who's who of culinary, because it was the late night after hours hangout for all the other chefs in the city.
Right.
So like the amount of,
And he was the shit at the time.
at that point he was focused on that place. Yeah. So he was there and he's cursing everybody out and throwing shit around.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was a little bit of a hothead then. You know, since then he's chilled out and, you know, he has so many restaurants now. It's like, it's insane.
So did you move down to the city with a job or just?
I actually got that job through, I want to say, just like on the internet, just looking up Craigslist maybe or something like that. Found that job.
I love that Craigslist. Yeah, world famous chef, hottest chef in town.
I think it was Craigslist, honestly. It was some, you know, one of those stupid websites where you just kind of like, you're on there looking for any job.
And you're like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and you'd had experience. You had put together a resume, I'm guessing.
That's the last time I used a resume. That's the last time I used a resume, yeah.
And you went down and you interviewed. Did you meet with the general manager or with Chang? Or?
Yeah. Yeah, the GM of the restaurant and the acting managers there got hired and didn't have a place down there, so I actually moved down with friends and I set up a tent in their living room. And I would go down, you know.
And they're like, oh, that's the guy from upstate. Brought his camping gear.
Coming down to,
going down to the Rhinebeck.
City. Yeah, just sleep in the tent for 4 nights a week and then come back up here. I still had like a gig up here, like just did like back and forth for a while and then moved down there permanently. All
right. Well, let me ask an insensitive question.
Please.
Because, you know, this mezcal, this mezcal Negroni.
Please.
Is taking effect. You got a great voice. You're phenomenally handsome.
Go on.
And do you think that was a big part of how you got hired there, the place, because you're easy on the eyes and sound good?
I actually think height is.
I was going to add tall.
Yeah, I think.
I think like 6'2", 3",
6'4".
Oh,
I think I've benefited from height privilege more than anything else.
Huh?
Yeah.
And was your job like maitre d'?
That was server, just front of the house, like just taking care of tables.
Oh, server.
And it was, everyone thinks you're the manager when you're tall.
Yeah.
You know, like the manager at the time.
I imagined you standing at a lectern, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah, I should have been like a mortician or whatever.
I don't know how you got there, but
I don't know.
You'd be a great mortician too.
Thank you. It was such a cool job though. I mean, like we saw every famous chef you could even name.
Right.
There's like Bourdain sightings. There's Alice Waters, Danny Bowie, and like all these like amazing people just coming in. All the New York Times food writers, celebrities. It was just every night there was someone new coming in.
And did you get starstruck at all?
I don't really know too many celebrities. So I was put on the tables because I don't know who, certain people are. Zac Efron, I don't know who that is at the time. So I'd go, hey, man, what's up? The time that I got really starstruck, Beastie Boys were in the restaurant. And they had just filmed their last video, I think it's called Make Some Noise. And it's when Adam Yout was like he was sick. He was he's a Bard boy too. Adam Yout, local guy. So it was like their last video, and they were in the restaurant. And when they walked out, I was like, guys, I'm sorry, but like, you are like changed my life. Like, you guys are the coolest.
Oh, you approached them?
Yeah. They were walking out, a little bro hug, the one-handed bro hug to each one.
Oh, I love
Best
that.
thing in the world.
What for a treat. Good for you.
Yeah.
And did you get any flack? I got to imagine that's against restaurant policy.
It was pretty lax, honestly. There wasn't like, the management wasn't too strict when it came to like the front of the house stuff. And
right. But when Chang
and
was
I did
on
it with
site,
like a respectful tone,
With what?
A respectful tone.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I hear it? What did that sound like?
It was basically, I was like, you guys are like, you were my favorite musician like my entire life. Like, I was introduced to like Paul's Boutique when I was 10 years old, and just meeting those guys was like insane.
And how did Paul's Boutique come into your life?
My cousin Mike Gambino
Yeah.
had the CD, played it for me, and from track one, like it just a perfect album.
Right. And also, I mean, a seminal albums for so many musicians
Yep.
and, hip hop musicians.
Yeah.
I mean, because one of the things about them that impresses me to this day, it's like, wow, they're like musicians. And
That's right. I got the chance to see him a couple of times too.
Right.
And halfway through the set, they turn the whole stage around, and they're playing like jazz music.
Oh, right.
The three of them,
Like the
upright bass,
Insane
drums.
from Way Out.
That's right. That's right.
Love that album.
Yeah.
Huh, what a treat. And where was that? I wish I could travel back in time and see that show.
Where I saw him at this festival. The first time was, I think it was called Languedoc. It was down in like the Seminole territory in Florida, and it was this big festival. I looked at the playlist like kind of recently, and it was like a who's who of that time period. It was insane. But they were like the top of the list for me, like seeing those guys.
Right. Well, they must have been the headliners.
They were.
In any recollection of who else was on the bill?
So it was a festival. It's kind of one of those like kind of Stony Baloney festivals too. So there's a lot of like the
Stony Baloney.
Yeah, there's like the Grateful Dead guys. Like it was like Phil Lesh and friends.
And Fish.
Fish wasn't there, but
I heard you're a big Fish fan.
I fucking love Fish.
Somebody dropped a dime.
love Fish.
Said ask him about Trey Anastasio.
Dude, I love Fish.
Yeah.
I just went to see him on New Year's Eve.
Where?
Madison Square Garden, buddy. They do 4 nights at the Garden every New Year's, and it is just the best dance party in New York City. It's the best party across the board.
I remember, back in the day, them like playing at the Wetlands.
Yeah.
It's like, who are these people? It's
Yeah.
like
They played over in Woodstock at what was that place? Joyous Lake.
Oh, boy.
Remember Joyous Lake?
Yeah.
What's there? Oh, that's where Sylvia's is now, right?
Yeah, the Joyous Lake. It was nothing for a long time. I mean, it was everything for a long time, and then it was nothing. And then they redid it and brought it back, and it was nice, but evidently not as nice as it had been.
Yeah.
In its decrepitude.
Yeah.
And well, good for them. Did you ever do the math on that? They must make millions and millions of dollars doing filming Madison Square Garden.
I can't even imagine what they're worth or what that is, but they've stayed like so true to the fan base. They've like grown with them. I don't want to nerd out.
Come on, nerd out.
One of the like, I'm working out a joke about it is that like being a Fish fan is, I understand how a Trump supporter feels, because like you could be the nicest guy in the world, but when you tell someone that you like that thing, they look at you with a little, there's a little stigma about it.
Yeah.
You're like, really? You're still a fan of that? You know what I mean? I don't know.
So you've been a fan for like 30 years or something?
I think I saw him first in but yes, I saw him first in 2002 or something like that.
Okay, well, 20 some years.
Some of these guys have, been to, I've probably seen like 100 shows or something like that.
You have?
Yeah.
100 shows?
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. And did you ever see The Dead?
No, I saw kind of like all the other iterations of that.
Such
Bob
as?
Weir and Rat Dog, Phil Lesh and Friends.
Right.
When all the guys came back, besides Jerry, like that kind of.
Jerry, he's coming back, I'm telling you.
Jerry was 90, he died in 93, 94?
95? Thereabouts.
Yeah, I wasn't, I was not at concert age.
I was living in the city, and I told my girlfriend, let's go down to like Bleecker Street. Let's go down to the Central Village because something's happening.
Yeah.
And an entire block was cordoned off, barricades and stuff, and people were blasting Dead music. And the street was packed with people smoking weed, of course.
Sure.
This is before it was legal.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
I liked back when it was illegal, actually.
It was a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
I always wanted it to be legal, and now it is. I'm like, can't believe this shit's legal.
Now it's a little much. Like, it reeks everywhere. Like, you go down the city and like,
the city just reeks like weed all the time.
The whole city reeks of weed.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys, take it easy.
It's all right. So you saw 100 Fish shows.
They're they're amazing. Like the New Year's Eve, they're all friends with all these like Broadway actors and singers and all these like show producers. So they had this full like onslaught of dancers and singers, people like kind of trapeze things are always happening on these like New Year's shows. And then they turned into like a complete like EDM set. It's lovely. It's really
and
fun.
who'd you go with?
I went with actually one of my friends I used to work with at Momofuku. We started on the same day, and I was wearing a Fish shirt, and he was like, "You like that band?" So we became like fast friends, and I've been friends with him and now his wife and all of his friends ever since.
And now all of his kids. He brought his 4-year-old.
Go on vacation together, like yeah, absolutely.
That's so sweet.
Yeah,
It's so interesting, the bonds that connect friends.
yeah,
And, music's a pretty good one.
absolutely. Especially for them, because they'll do like a weekend in Philly, and then we just let everyone gets a hotel room in Philly, and then we go and like hit the museums during the day and go see a baseball game, and then go to the show at night. So there's culture around it. It's not just the show.
Have you been? I want to go. There's a museum, I forget, it's like a German guy's name, of medical curiosities in
Yes.
Philadelphia.
Yes,
You have been?
yes. And there's like goiters and shit.
Yes, all that crap.
Yes. What is that called?
I forget. I
Oh
think it's
my
some
God.
German dudes.
It is. I did go to that. And they have like the tallest person's skeleton.
Supposedly, I've never been. I want to go.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's a freak show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A freak show of a museum.
Yeah.
Sounds
I
spectacular.
went to that
We need one of
on
those
a
in
fish
Rhinebeck.
weekend.
I'm guessing.
And I would have never done that if it weren't for nights.
And so I went to see one Dead show
Yeah.
once. I think it was in Hartford, at the
Oh, yeah.
Civic Center.
Yeah.
It was spectacular. I went with a
good
friend
place.
who was a real Deadhead. And they played one of the few songs I knew, and I started singing along. He's like, oh, they haven't played this since 1978.
God,
Where-
these guys get so dorky about that.
Are
They
people-
get so dorky
Are
about
people like that with fish?
it. Absolutely.
They haven't busted this out since 1990.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Same crowd.
And is there a song? Oh, sure, yes, please. I'll have a little bit
if you
more of
don't
that.
mind. Yeah.
Is there a song that when you hear the opening chords, you're like, oh, fuck, that's my song. They're playing my song.
I mean, as many as I've seen and as like nerdy as the guys get, like I'm just happy to be there, honestly. I like the energy of you have a whole stadium of people dancing at the same, like New Year's Eve I went to the bathroom during the show and you could feel Madison Square Garden like bouncing, like moving like inches
Right.
because everyone was just on the same kind of
The water rippling in the urinal.
Yeah. I don't
so-
want to sound like a stony dweeb here. Sorry.
Like a what?
I don't want to sound like a stony dweeb.
But people must do that in the stony dweebs. I mean, there must be a lot of drugs at a fish concert, as there were the one time I saw the Grateful Dead.
Sure. Yeah, everyone's kind of on their own journey, but
I love that.
You
Everyone's
also-
on their own journey.
yeah,
man.
right. Yeah. I don't be like that. I mean, like I might have gotten into some of the psilocybin on New Year's Eve, but
Right.
yeah.
But are people like dropping acid a lot?
Yeah, there's a bunch. There's like, everything.
Uh-huh.
Acid, Molly, mushrooms, a lot of weed.
Right.
And yeah, people, they're also like, they've been around so long that the fans are getting older too.
Mm-hmm.
Not older, but like anywhere between like my age and, like 60, something like that.
My age.
So they're pros now. They're not dicking around with drugs. So everyone knows, what I mean? Everyone knows their limits and what they want to, like where they want to be. So there's no problems.
But
it's like,
is there lore surrounding them when they were younger and they were dicking around with drugs and they were not giving their best musical performances?
especially the lead singer guitarist. Yeah, he
Is that the Trey dude?
yeah, he did some time with I think his Oxycontins and shit like that like brought him down a little bit.
Ugh.
So they took a break and he went on a rehab, and actually he's sober now. I don't know if the rest of the guys are, but
good
he's
for him.
He's sober, and he actually runs a rehab facility. I think it's in Vermont, and they They do benefit shows. They just had a benefit show up in Albany for raising money for that rehab facility.
That's great.
So it's, they're in touch with their place in society and, the stigma around being at one of those jam band shows.
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. So when do you have tickets for the next Fish show? Or do you know where the next show is and when's the next show near here?
The next one is going to be, they do down in like the Quintana Roo in Mexico, down south of like Cancun, one of those big resorts that's there, like the Moon Palace or something like that, in between Cancun and Tulum. They do every year around like February or something like that. They take over like 3 of those.
Are you going?
No, that one's too expensive. It's an all-inclusive, so it ends up being like $5 or $6 grand.
What about that place, the Sphere or whatever in Vegas?
I wanted to go so bad. They were there in
April. They played there?
Yeah.
Of course they did.
Yeah. Yeah. They did 4 nights. I think the opener was U2, and then they were the next ones.
Right.
They'll be back there, though.
Wait, U2 opened for Fish?
No, U2 opened the Sphere.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I could totally see that.
Yeah.
I mean, people like U2, but like people are slavishly devoted to Fish.
Yeah, culty fan base.
Culty nerdy. And you've seen 100, so you sort of count as one of them. No offense.
Sure.
Is there a name? The Deadheads. Is there a name for people who are really cultishly devoted to Fish?
Not really. There's different types. Like the big hairy ones are called Wookiees.
Wait, big hairy ones.
Yeah, there's
like Chewbacca.
Yeah, there's some Chewies in the crowd. Like there's
what?
Yeah, people get a little Wookiee. Like they get that like dreadlock stench and like
dreadlock
a lot of like
stench?
patchouli and
I hate
and
patchouli
corduroy.
So
Me too. But no, I mean at this point, especially if you go to like the show in New York City. Like it brings in like the elegant Fish crowd.
Oh, the elegant. Yeah. Well, the
upper middle trash.
60-year-old Fish crowd.
Yeah.
Upper middle trash. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. That's very funny.
Yeah.
So the New York Fish crowd, which used to be you, and then at some point you left the Momofuku gravitational pull, and did you go from there back here?
Relocated back here.
And how come? How'd that happen?
I ended up I was spending more time up here than down there. So like any day that I wasn't working, I'd take the train up.
So you broke camp
to go for a hike,
up the tent,
to play golf, and I was seeing a lady that lived up here.
Oh, a lady.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And I was like,
what was her name?
What's up?
Name? You should drop names.
Yeah,
here.
she definitely did have a name. Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah.
My favorite kind of ladies.
Yeah. I don't like the nameless ladies. Yeah. No, but we had a lot of fun like hanging up here, and I always use the Hudson Valley and like Rhinebeck as like a release valve to get out of the city, because this is more my pace than Manhattan or Brooklyn.
So at some point you quit Momofuku.
Yeah.
You said, I'm sorry, I want to go back to my hometown.
I didn't say I'm sorry, but yes.
Did you say anything fun? Any colorful words?
No.
And was it, did you leave with a good feeling about the place, or did you leave with a
great
fuck you?
No.
No.
It got to a certain point where I'm like, I'm waiting tables and I'm a certain age, and I saw my reflection in the mirror and said,
33.
This isn't cute anymore, buddy. You know what I mean? Like I can't be up till 4 a.m. anymore. It was going to turn into something bad, but
right.
So I left the party at a good time.
And had you? I mean, I know that some waiters in New York City,
sure,
some servers,
yeah,
making 6 figures, making a shit ton of money.
Made a bunch of money down there for sure.
Did you sock some of it away? Did you save?
Yeah. I did okay. I've never been like really overly like worried about financials, and it's not really a focus that I have in life. It's more about human connections and experiences and stuff like that. Like,
right.
I really don't care about money all that much.
And so what year did you come back here to chase your fortune?
I don't know, 10 years ago,
right?
Something like that.
And the romance, I'm guessing, didn't work out.
Still friends. Still friends. We get a beer every once in a while and hang out.
And is she married now?
No, in a new relationship. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And did you think about getting married? I mean, I asked
doing all those weddings,
oh, geez.
I don't give a shit about marriage. Like, it's really not on my mind. Like, it seemed like such a frivolous thing. If you see 500 weddings,
right,
and how silly it is, the Cinderella carriage, the chicken dance, September, they played Earth, Wind, and Fire September. It's not really.
But the Cinderella story of like spending the rest of your life happily ever after with somebody is still something that people might like.
Absolutely, and that's great for them. Yeah,
it's good for them.
No, it's definitely it's on my mind. Of course.
Right.
Yeah. I've had the fortune of having great loves in my life, like really nice relationships, so far in my life, and
right.
I probably should have gotten like one marriage out early. You know, like the young, dumb marriage when you're like 22. Were you married?
I didn't. I know, like, I seemed like I would have, but I did not.
Yeah. The young, dumb marriage where you're in for like 3 or 4 years and then you're out. No kids, but like
no complications.
At least you did it. You got the blender. You know?
Got it out of your system. You got the blender. Nice.
Yeah.
Huh. And right now, are you seeing anybody?
Right now I'm kind of, not really. No.
Not really.
No, I got a relationship a couple months ago and, just kind of working to get my feet under me and focused on some of the artistic things in my life. And
what does that mean, get your feet under you? Have your feet not been under you for a spell?
I've always been pretty even keeled, but just, getting more into that like mentality of getting back into something is.
And what is the something that you're getting back into?
Like a partnership, that's
okay.
That's, I have an interesting time kind of like figuring out how much time to divvy up for myself and for a partner.
Right.
So I kind of try my best in that situation, and I want everything to just kind of flow naturally, and
it's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You were going to say?
No, I wasn't.
Come on, this was going to be the good one.
Say.
You mentioned earlier you were working on a joke. About something.
Yeah.
And you are doing stand-up comedy.
I got into stand-up comedy like kind of recently, yeah.
Right.
I want to say like 4 or 5 months ago.
And why? How did you get into that?
I've always loved stand-up comedy. It's always been like one of my favorite things in the whole world.
And had you ever done it prior to 4 or 5 months ago?
No, but I've always written jokes down. So I have like notes of like everything funny that I've thought of for the past
oh my God
20 years.
That's just a gold mine.
And you're just, I'm just going through and saying, is this still relevant?
And do you wake up in the middle of the night and write stuff down or dictate it to your iPhone?
I did it the other night. I woke up and wrote something down. I woke up and read it, and it wasn't funny.
Right.
It said, Hugh's buried in Grant's tomb.
Hugh's buried in...
Right? So there's the old joke of who's buried in Grant, but
right.
Hugh Grant.
It's Hugh Grant, yeah.
It's stupid.
Was Hugh Grant and Mrs. Grant.
Right. Right.
I believe is the answer.
So when I was 13 years old, I went to see George Carlin, who is like...
What a treat.
The GOAT. Like the coolest, most eloquent, most thoughtful, crazy
most
comedian.
Cerebral. I mean, and almost all of the comedians, like they're smart people.
Yeah.
They're finding these things.
Yeah.
But he is, I'm with you, he's the GOAT.
It was crazy. I was 13 years old. I've never seen it. My dad had records of Carlin, Steve Martin, Cheech and Chong.
Oh God.
Some of those like classic.
Did he have like all the way back to like Bob Newhart?
It was later than that.
Right.
Later than that. But I mean, he had
and how old's your pop?
That's a good question. He is, I think he's 65.
Well, I'm glad
let me
Jen
do it. Let me do it.
Hammoud here,
Let me do it.
our fabulous
He's
producer.
1958. He was
Okay,
born, so
it'd be a 66.
There you go.
Significantly older than my 64
I didn't
years.
say it. I didn't bring it up.
Yeah.
But went to see George Carlin. He did this monologue. It's called The Modern Man, and it's insane. The way I don't know how he remembered it and flaunted it. It was 5 minutes of just the most beautiful. It was like freestyle rapping. Like, it was so beautiful. Right. He did this elegant thing of like I wear power ties, I tell power lies, I take power naps. Like, it was just like this beautiful like scatting, and he did this 5 minutes, perfectly executed. Everyone is like jaws on the floor, amazed. And then he said, you know what no one talks about anymore? Pussy farts. And as like 13-year-old me, I'm like, you can do both of these things like right next to each other is crazy. Like,
right.
It blew my mind.
Wait, and who'd you go with tonight? You went with your pop?
So I went with a friend of mine, Dan. His dad knew that we were both talking about George Carlin because we both had the records from our parents. And he said, he asked my dad, can I bring him? And he said, and my dad was like, yeah, definitely, of course.
Love that.
Beautiful. UPAC in Kingston.
Nice.
Yeah.
What a treat.
Yeah.
And so were there other, did you listen to the Cheech and Chong albums?
Yeah, of course. Big Bamboo.
Yeah. Big Bamboo.
Sister Mary Elephant.
Oh, Sister Mary Elephant.
Ooh,
Class. I grew up with that stuff. And then when you got older and you were buying your own albums, did you buy many comedy albums, and who?
So comedy for my age group was Adam Sandler.
Mm-hmm.
Sandler had like 2 or 3 albums that were the most like re-quoted, share with your friends kind of things.
And what were some of the quotes from that?
He would do. They were so dumb. I mean, like, Sandler's voice of that, like, oh yeah, ooh.
Yeah, could you do that again?
No, absolutely
not. Don't look at the clock.
Right here,
right in the
counting it down, buddy.
Yeah.
Nobody just like amazing, stupid bits. The absurdity was really intriguing to me. Like, I love the absurd. I love just breaking norms. No offense. And just that world is always fascinated me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there was a breaking point like 4 or 5 months ago. You're like, you know what? I'm going to fucking do it.
Well, our boy, Dave Stickle.
Dave Stickle, amazing. He was here sitting where you're sitting.
I know. He told me.
A month ago or so.
He told me.
And he's going to have a show. He's going to have his own show on Radio Free Rhinecliff. It's going to be.
Oh, is that real?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
He's going to be amazing.
Lovely.
He's going to help out doing like live hosting of fundraisers or whatever. Yeah. He's going to be a real boon to the station.
So I've done like 4 or 5 shows with him. Some of them open mics, and then I had a paid gig recently.
Where?
Yeah, at the Krog. At the Krog.
And what do you get paid for that?
Well, I don't want to speak out of school, but
yeah,
it might have been $25 for 7 minutes.
Love that.
Yeah. It's great. Writing is an artistic output that I've always loved, and that particular like form, that genre, like, it's the best.
Writing jokes.
Yeah.
But also like writing sort of a bit, right? Writing a 7-minute performance.
I'm working on 5 minutes today, and trying to kind of group everything together so that it flows, so that you can remember it, and so it starts, there's bookends on it.
And do you have a particular way, Stickle brought this up, a particular way you like to start? When you come up on stage, everybody's like, oh, who's this guy? He's just another pretty face. Do you have a way you like to start?
Do they say that?
As far as I know.
You do have to start out with a little bit of like a banger. You do have to like throw one out that's going to get everyone's attention. Crowd dependent. It's different things. I'm pretty dry and pretty, you know my voice here, pretty monotone. And I'm all, my favorite thing is just wordplay. And
Right.
like witty wordplay is
And the Grant thing is a witty wordplay piece.
yeah.
So you're working in a 5-minute
Yeah.
performance, and what's your opening joke going to be? Right now, what's the opening?
Right. So, like these pizza places, why are they so insistent on telling me how many brothers are involved with the business? Right? It's 2 brothers. It's 4 brothers. Like, I went to their sister restaurant and there was brothers there too, you know, like, and then relating that with, law firms, like law firms don't tell you how many brothers there are. You have to count them because they say the last name multiple times.
All of them, yeah.
Right. So they say, oh, we're Manetti and Manetti and Manetti and Manetti. And do you say, oh, the guy? But I guess that's a more eloquent way, because you wouldn't go like with your mesothelioma claim to 4 brothers law firm.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Love that.
So that's a stupid bit that I'm working on right now.
That's good.
Yeah. You got the rough version of it, but
Well, thank you for sharing.
Sure.
So you're working on it.
yeah.
And how much faith do you have in your own taste? Right? Because you're handicapping each of these as you're writing. I'm like, oh, that's rough, it needs work, or
Yeah.
holy fuck, this is amazing.
Yeah. It's a puzzle that you have to put together, which I like. And just like any other like art, you kind of like mimic your favorites, you know, you mimic the masters. So like I'm always like in Carlin's brain. I'm in Rodney Dangerfield is one of my favorite people of all time. Like I don't even know like how he gets to some of the jokes that he gets to. And
Right.
Like,
And so if you want to listen to Rodney Dangerfield and Don Rickles or whoever, I mean, where do you go to listen to these?
at this point, they're all like, they throw them on streaming stuff. You can find them on YouTube and
Right.
like Dangerfield on Johnny Carson. You can go down a rabbit hole of watching that, and those two just loved each other, and you can see it.
Right.
You can see it.
Carson was the best.
Yeah, he was the kingmaker back then.
He was a kingmaker, but also he was so incredibly likable, and 99.9% of the time, so respectful
Yeah.
of everybody.
Yeah.
And just super affable. I mean, he was from like
He was awesome at like taking a
Iowa.
back seat and say, Rodney, how's your health? How's your health? And, like he's like feeding Danger.
Right. He was a spectacular interviewer.
Yeah.
Because it was very rarely about him.
Yeah.
He would share some personal detail just to like pull out
Yeah.
stuff from his guests.
Dangerfield's best joke.
Oh, please, I was going to ask.
He says he was talking about his family, right? So he said, he's like, my kid, I got a mean kid. He tapes worms to the sidewalk and he watches birds get hernias. I'm like, how did you even get there? I'm like,
That
that's
is
so
fucked up.
weird. Like it's such
Yeah.
a weird joke, but I love it for some reason.
All right. So
It's absurd.
So you brought this wonderful cocktail.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're sharing that.
Yeah.
Do you write jokes under the influence of anything?
I mean, I do have like a consistent pale ale or IPA in me through the week. I'm not a booze hound.
Right.
And I don't really do too many drugs. Besides my little fish,
Fish helper.
yeah,
It's called, yeah.
every
Comes in a box.
fiscal quarter. Yeah.
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 A fish hole. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So you might not want to answer this. Is there a perfect sort of cocktail of fish helper that you like that you've found works best for one of their concerts?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I got 3 beers, I got
Yeah.
4 tokes of weed, and I got a little like
Yeah, a nice heady IPA, ivermectin, and Pepto-Bismol.
that combination. Forget about
Maybe end of the night with a Ovaltine White Russian. And,
Yeah,
and
and
you got a joke right there.
and another
You get one
Pepto-Bismol.
joke.
it. No, that's a good joke. Yeah, it really.
it.
I like
That's
that
it.
joke.
No, not really. Just it comes to you in different times.
Right.
It's mostly from things that other people say or just sayings that are like common that no one ever like questions. There's things like that.
And the light bulb goes off, and you're like, oh, this is great. This is gold.
Right.
What percentage of the time do you write that down?
So I've gotten better at it. There's been a lot of gold that slipped through the pan, but I'm on it now. So if anything comes up, I write it down.
Like 100%.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Hats off to you.
Notes on the phone.
That's so good.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. Yeah.
I mean, you have to do a lot of things, and it all boils down to discipline.
Yeah. Can we talk about the elephant in the room?
Sure.
I feel like you're mad at me still.
Yeah. Yes, so mad.
Yeah, I feel like you're mad at me.
And let us know why.
You're mad at me
you know,
because
listen.
I fell asleep during your play.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Look, you came to see the play. You've got a pass for the next 27 years.
No, I feel like you still hold a grudge about it.
We went if you can find some comedic gold out of that, go for it.
So
but
Dave Leonard and I came to see you in
fucking you're both on a shrine.
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
3-hour play.
Yeah, 2 intermissions. It's like a fish show.
It's fun. Yeah,
of passive aggressive, but yelling,
but with no dancing.
No dancing, no
like,
music.
It's cringy. It's a cringy fish show.
I fell asleep. We were talking about a porcupine, and then I woke up. I actually had the picture of me sleeping because Dave Leonard sent it to me.
Of course,
you want to see it?
Our friend, let's see it.
Yeah, okay.
Our fabulous friend Dave Leonard.
Also, Dave Leonard fell asleep during the play too.
Who wouldn't?
Dude,
I tried.
You were amazing.
I tried to scream a lot to keep people awake, but.
That's a picture of me. I look like
that's a beautiful.
I look like a Pez dispenser. I'm like open mouth. I'm like,
but see, that's also hilarious. That's a beautiful description of somebody who's like snoring in a play.
It was amazing to see you in that because you're the sweetest person in the world. Like,
well, I try.
I always love hanging out with you and to see you play like a passive aggressive kind of like a dick. You were playing a dick.
Oh, that guy was such a
dick.
That
guy sucks.
But
you did such a good job.
You probably don't know this. It was I've done a lot of theater. Really enjoy sort of the amateur, like local or regional theater. I only ever had one dream role, and that was it.
Really?
Yeah. And I told somebody, early on in my sort of adult play career, said, that's my dream role. And he called me up. Yeah. And then we lost touch. He was, hey, they're casting for that. And I went out and like.
What theater was that? That was in like Fishkill or
3 years ago?
No.
I forget what it's called. In Fishkill, yeah.
Somewhere down there?
No. Wappingers.
Wappingers Falls.
County Players.
Yeah.
So good. Hey, guess what? We're out of time.
Oh.
What the fucking fuck? I didn't even get to like.
We didn't talk about Grumpusing at all.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great Friday night and a fabulous weekend.
Happy Friday, everybody. It's such a good Friday, isn't it?
Jeff Boyle for being here. What a treat.
Love you, buddy.
We finally got together for
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.